What's up, everybody? We're gonna have some fun today. I thought it was time that I updated the 5x3 campaign because we've been getting a lot of people that have been doing the Blitz and they've been running their ecosystem ads for a really long time. And now they're actually ready to put that offer ad out there. And so I wanted to take the time to go over just a couple of things that we're going to be doing today. Let me open up the chat. Is there anyone here that's new? I always like to know if there's anyone that's new here or if we're just all friends. I see a lot of familiar faces. Victor, Brian, Dr. Gina, great to see you. Yeah, Clara. Clara keeps coming back. See, whenever you guys show up, I start to know you. I start to know what your offer is. Awesome. Lots of people who are on this call for the very first time. So awesome. I'm not gonna delay getting into the training or anything, but I just wanted to fair warning. I'm very blunt. I'm very straight to the point. I like just being realistic. And so sometimes people think I'm being an asshole. It's not that. I just like to keep everything realistic because I know that you guys, some people think that, we're here to like make things easier for you guys, which in a way we are, but at the same time, it's not to make things easy because nothing's easy, right? It takes a lot of work. Like as a lot of you guys are figuring out, it's not just about, launching one ad, it's about launching a series of ads. And so today we just kind of want to go over a couple of my favorite scripts that I use. Now, here's the thing. It's not just about, oh, Laurel says to only use these 3 scripts, right? I always talk about this, like students hear me say something and then they hear something a little bit different than what I actually say. But I wanted to show you guys the 3 scripts that I use the most whenever I'm launching these campaigns. But there is no wrong script, right? Like scripts are preference-based. You can use whatever script template. There's so many script templates that you can find online, but I'm just going to go over the ones that work for me and the ones that I use mostly with my clients or with myself. And then what I'm going to do is I'll open up Ads Manager and I'll actually show you from start to finish how to actually set up this campaign. Okay. So if there's room at the end of the training, we will have some open Q&A. We can unmute ourselves and have a conversation. But the only thing that I ask is that all questions stay centered on what we're actually talking about today. No one going, all bringing this call into different directions. So we'll probably have some time to do some open Q&A as far as about what we're actually talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. And so what we're going to talk about today is the 5x3 campaign setup that I use to test low ticket offers, VSL webinar funnels. And I know a lot of people get caught up. Well, what do I use for a low ticket offer? What do I use for a webinar? I use the scripts, these same 3 scripts for all types of offers. It's not just, oh, she only uses this for webinar or only for low ticket offer. And so you guys are going to see me even use, the power offer script for low ticket, even though Joel Irway had that intention of using it for high ticket. I use it for low ticket. It's one of my most successful ads that are running out there. And so I just want to get that out of the way. It doesn't matter whether you're running low ticket offer campaign, a book funnel, a live event funnel. These are a lot of the same scripts that I use over and over again. So we're going to go over a couple of different things today because I think it would be a very big disservice if I just taught you guys the campaign, but I didn't teach you guys the steps that I do working up to that campaign. And so in this 45-minute workshop, we're going to try to keep it to 45 minutes. I'm going to show you how to reverse engineer the funnel so that you know exactly what you should be paying per lead in purchase. Because I see so many of you guys who are launching campaigns and I'm asking you guys, well, what was your profit projection? And you look at me with a blank stare like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And so I want to make sure that before you launch any campaign, you know exactly what you should be spending, how much you should be spending, and what exactly when to turn off my ads. How do I know when to actually turn off the ad? So I'm going to show you guys how to reverse engineer that profit projection so that you know all of that before you go into it. Because there's nothing worse than launching an ad campaign and then figuring out, I don't know what my CPL is. I see so many people who turn off campaigns that are actually working, all because they don't know what their numbers are when it comes to their cost per lead. Some people say, well, $10 is too much for a cost per lead. Well, if you reverse engineer your funnel, you could find out that you could afford to spend as much as $70 per lead. So I see so many people turning off campaigns that are, in other words, could be very, very profitable. The second thing that I'm going to teach you guys is my favorite scripts that I use to test every single time. And I'm going to show you guys how to set up the 5x3 test campaign I launch when I don't have any winning audiences or ads to start with. So this is something that I do with my students. This is something I do for new clients. I'll show you how to even optimize and pull winning ads out, and what do I do after I've got either winning audiences or winning ads. Okay, so we're going to get straight up into it. So step one, we have to reverse engineer the funnel. Okay, because if you do not know what should my cost per acquisition be, what do I want to happen at the end of this campaign, how many sales is it realistic for, is it even realistic for me to even run this campaign with this amount of budget? What should I expect, especially if you're running a low ticket offer, right? Like if you're running a low ticket offer, you have to be able to expect to see a lot of money go out the door in the first couple of weeks or months, but know that on the back end it's going to pick up later. But can you even afford to spend anything out of pocket before those profits even start to come in? And so these are all things that I want you guys to make smart decisions, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't like just throwing money at Facebook and just kind of like seeing what happens. I like to have a very specific plan on, hey, what is the cost that I need to get in order to scale this thing? Or how do I know if I need to turn things off? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a couple of different examples. And yes, you guys have these inside the program. You're going to get links to all of this stuff. As a matter of fact, you guys already have access to the things that I'm going to talk about today that are inside the $7 program. And as always, guys, there's always a freaking replay. Okay, you're always going to get it published so that you guys can see it. But first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you guys this. Okay, this looks like, whoa, a whole bunch of numbers. This is actually one of my newest clients right here. I took her through this reverse engineering exercise. She actually has a VSL. Okay, so this is how much we know that she needs to be spending. So at the end of this exercise, we figured out that she cannot afford to spend more than $2.80 on her VSL opt-ins. Okay, I use this for webinars, I use this for VSLs, I use this for live workshops that lead to a phone call. So this is what a typical book a call funnel would look like and how I would reverse engineer. Okay, so here's what we are going to do. Okay, so we always want the basic funnel. We always want to get 2 times the return on ad spend. Do we want to do better than 2x? Abso-freaking-lutely, but my ecosystem is going to help with that, right? My ecosystem is going to catch all of these leads that are falling through this funnel, but we want to make sure that our ecosystem is up before we even launch this. That is why I always tell you guys, we need to launch the ecosystem first before the funnel, because when you're sending cold traffic to, whether it's a low ticket funnel or book funnel, any type of funnel, you are going to have leads that will fall through the cracks, and we want the ecosystem to be there to pick up those leads. Okay, so her program is $3,000. And the goal is to get 2 times the return on ad spend. So what does that mean? We have to not spend more than $1,500 per $3,000 sale, right? If we spend $1,500 to make a sale, that is 2 times the return on ad spend. Okay. Now, what should we be paying per booked call or application? Okay. Here's what we're actually going to do. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way. What we have to know are our call numbers. Okay, so if we want to get, right, if I do this, if we want to get $1,500 per $3,000 sale, that's going to be 2 times the return on ad spend. What we want to do is we want to figure out what is the cost that we need in order to get per application. Okay, now if you do not know your call numbers, that's okay. We want to at least use industry standard. Okay, now we can do this one of 2 ways. one of my favorite things to do is actually put in the quality. How many of you guys get subpar quality applications for phone calls? We also want to work that in. It is not required. We do not have to. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to assign what is your show up rate. If you know what your show up rate is, you're going to want to put this here. This particular client has a 70% show up rate. Her close rate, because she is taking calls herself, is 30%. Now, if you have a call setter, but I'm pretty sure that most of you guys in the room are probably closing your own calls, you can expect about 30%. If you have a setter, it's typically 20. We always want to improve that, right? But one of the things that she also wanted to work in was some of the quality applications weren't the best. And so we want to work that into the percentage. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a little math, and I love doing math. You guys have to absolutely fall in love with doing math, because advertising success literally is just a big mathematical equation. Okay. So unfortunately for this one, I don't have a calculator. The other two, it's going to be simple. We're going to plug in things to a spreadsheet and it's going to give you this. But for VSL or webinar, it gets a little bit complicated because of the call numbers and stuff. And so that's why I like to do this one by hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 70 times 30, right? Whenever you're talking percentages, you're going in decimals. And then I'm going to do 0.70. Okay. So I'm going to get out my little calculator. And I am going to do 0.70 times 0.30 times 0.70, and that is going to give me 147. Okay, so I'm going to do 147 times what is the 2 times the return on ad spend? 1,500. So I'm going to do 1.147 times 1,500. Oops. 1.147 times 1,500. And that's going to give me 220 right here. Okay. So in order to get my 2 times my return on ad spend, I cannot pay more than $220 per application. So for those of you guys who are doing the power offer to application, you could actually do the math same here, right? Without the VSL. So now you know if these are your call numbers and you're just going add to application, you know that you can pay $220 per application. So what we're doing is we're starting at the back of the funnel and we're going to move our way forward. What is the next thing, right? The next step is we want 10% of people who watch the webinar, who finish the webinar, not just watch the webinar, finish the webinar, to make it to the end. Industry standard, we want 8 to 10%. So we take 220 times 10%, and then we know that we can pay $22 for someone to actually finish the webinar. Then what we do is we want 40% of people to press play on this webinar. Everyone, okay. So someone says, Manuel says, I missed the reason for the 10% part. So if we look at a funnel, right, 20% of people that we send to a landing page will opt in. Everyone with me here? If we send 1,000 people, 20% of people will opt in. That is our 20%. So that'll be 200 people entering the funnel. Okay. So all we're doing is I reverse engineered it. 20% of people will opt in. We want 40% of the people who opt in to hit play on that webinar. We want, out of the 40% that hit play on the webinar, we want 10% to make it to the end to fill out an application. And then we want a certain percentage of those applications to turn into booked calls and sales. So I'm just starting at the back. So I went into this training just thinking that you guys knew industry standards of going in. So I'm glad that you asked that. So thank you. So that's where I got the 10%. We want 10% of people who hit play on that webinar to actually fill out an application. Okay. Then the next step of the funnel, we working our way back to the front, right? Now we made 10% to the application. 40% we want people to press play, right? So if we do 0.40 times what we just did, right? So if we take, sorry, I wrote too much on my document. So if we're doing 10% who watch the webinar, right, we're going to do 220 times 10. Okay, so now we've got $22. So 0.40 times 22, 0.40 times 22, that's $8.80. So now we do $8.80 times 20%. Now we're going to calculate what should our cost per lead be. So we do 8 times 80 times 0.20. So we can only spend $1.76 per lead. That's super low for a VSL. So what does that tell me? Right? So what does that tell me? I'm going to either have to get super low lead costs, but high quality leads, or I need to improve these numbers on the back of my funnel. So you guys can see, even with a $3,000 offer, how hard it is to actually be profitable with even a $3,000 offer. So that's why when you guys come to me and you want to run webinars and you only have like a $500 product or or a $400 product or something like that, you guys can see like how like really, really expensive getting a sale is actually going to be. Does everyone with me? So Clara just asked, how do you measure quality in the call numbers? That's just a number that you need to know, like out of all of the people that you got on the phone with, what percentage of them were actually qualified. Or you could actually do that through the qualification process of your application. How many applications did you deny getting a phone call? Does that make sense to everybody? And so here, we always want to run our campaigns 3 times this. I actually told this client that we need to improve some numbers on the back end so that we can get, because on average, it's going to cost $10 to $15 per lead for a VSL funnel. So Jeff just asked, any chance you'll be breaking this down for just the power offer to application? I already did that. It's right here. It's just the front part of the thing. You don't have to do all of this, right? Because if you're running power offer, now you guys are starting to see why I have you guys have messenger conversations first, right? Then power offer to application, because then you're just going power offer to application. As long as you're spending $220 to get an application with your power offer, if the numbers work out, the numbers work out. Does that make sense? So that's why we have this hierarchy of, we need messenger conversations, then to write our power offer to application. And that's why VSL is at the highest quality, because you guys can start to see how super expensive this could actually get. And so for this particular client, I told her that we needed to make sure that we were getting much higher watch rates and higher play rates on her VSL. And so one of the things that I had her improve is that more than 60% of people were hitting play, so that we can afford to spend upwards of $8 to $10 per lead. Everyone with me? I know we're talking a lot of math today, but this is super, super important that you guys understand this. And so that's why whenever we're going through, well, what type of funnel should I be running? If you need cash flow, that's why VSL funnels are not the best thing for cash flow, unless you already have warm traffic, because warm traffic obviously is going to bring down the cost of all of this stuff. So if you're running a VSL to warm traffic first, you're going to get some quick wins. But if you don't have enough cold traffic, which is why I teach you guys the power content strategy, right? Because once you have to always have enough cold traffic coming in order for your funnel to be sent to warm traffic, but you have to run it to cold traffic. But that's why you don't want to run it to cold traffic until you've tested the entire funnel and you have the cash flow. So Clara just asked, you mentioned $1.76 is a low CPL, but it's probably unrealistic. So it's more realistic for that to be 8 to 10%. Absolutely. So that's why I wanted to show you guys this particular example, and why I recommended that my client not run this funnel yet until we can improve some numbers on the back end. So what I'm having her do is run power offer straight to application so that we can improve some of the numbers on the front end, get some cash flow so that we can afford to run the entire funnel. So I actually had her take a step back. So Annie says, did you have her target improving opt-in rates because it was the easiest thing to fix or improve first for her, or just in general, the first thing to look at? So I always start clients at the back of the funnel, because if these numbers aren't as good, it doesn't matter. I'm just sending leads to a broken funnel at the end. That's why so many people, and I want you guys to understand this, right? A lot of big box coaching programs are teaching you guys to send leads to a webinar, right? So that they can say, yay, you're getting all these leads. But where's usually the issue? It's usually with converting the actual person to either a phone call or to an actual sale. And so that's why I teach you guys the process that I do with that little triangle exercise, right? Where we start with messenger conversations, then we graduate to power offer, then we graduate to this, because you want to have a lot of cash flow in your pocket, because you guys can see, even to get 2 times the return on ad spend, you're going to have to spend $1,500 just to acquire a $3,000 customer. Yeah, exactly. Victor says, yeah, just spend more, bruh. But that's the thing that my ecosystem solves, right? Because most people are just being taught just to do this. And that's why people that are in the internet marketing space, that's why they get diminishing returns. Because they're just doing this. They're not doing my power content strategy. They're not doing my ecosystem strategy. My ecosystem strategy, remember, is built around this. So it's going to actually increase the return on ad spend versus just spending more and more and more. A lot of my clients, they could actually cut their ad spend in half on a funnel like this because of my ecosystem. And that's why I wanted to start with this one, because it is the most, I think it's probably the most popular funnel that we get students coming into this program with. And they don't understand why I'm telling them to take a step back and just do power offer to application. Or if we're doing messenger conversations, right? So Patricia just asked, are you just talking about high ticket right now? High ticket is where you're wanting to book calls. This is a book a call funnel. So another popular funnel that comes in is lead gen to an offer. Okay. So what I have, and these are inside the program, you can get them underneath the appropriate places, is we're going to figure out how much should we be spending in order to get a lead for a low ticket offer, or it could even be a high ticket offer. But the reason that I like to show you guys this whole thing for the book a call funnel is because this spreadsheet won't account for that. It won't account for the show up rate and all of that fun stuff. So let's say you have a membership funnel like me, right? Every person in my membership, because I know my numbers on the back end, my lifetime value per customer is $360. Okay, so I know that I can afford to spend as much as that in order to acquire a customer, right? But most of you guys who are running a membership are probably not at that moment where you actually know those numbers. But let's just say you're just starting out and you want to run a $7 membership, and you figure that, you know, people will probably stick around for 3 months. Okay, that would be $21, right? If your projected ad spend is $1,000 and you're running leads to a lead magnet, right? Some kind of free ebook, and you're getting leads for $2, and 10% of the people who get your lead magnet buy your $7 program and they stay in for 3 months, you can see right here, you can expect to get 50 purchases. And if you come down over here, your gross revenue is $1,000.50, but you've only walked away with $50. Does that make sense? What I just did? Okay, cool. So that's why it's super important that you guys use these calculators. So let's say that you have like your offer price. Let's say you're selling a $500 thing, okay? And you're getting a cost per lead for a short form, let's say VSL or free training or something like that. And let's say you're spending $8 per lead, and then you're getting 10% of the people who are watching your VSL into your $500. Then now you can see, okay, cool, I might be profitable. right? Because if my offer is $500 and I'm paying $8 cost per lead, I'm getting 125 leads a month. 10% of those are buying. You got 13 purchases. You've almost doubled your money. So that's why it's important that we actually use these calculators. So this would be list building, right? A lot of people tell you build your list, get your list, but you have to know the numbers, right? Because if you're running this campaign and you start running it and you're like, you know what, my cost per lead is $12. Well, then you can come back to the calculator, put this in. Does it still make sense? Well, yeah, you're still profitable by $3,000. So what I like to do is I like to keep going up. Well, maybe my cost per lead might be $25. Does this still make sense? It still makes sense. I will still break even. So that's why it's important that we know our numbers, because sometimes people say, well, my cost per lead is $25. Well, still you're still profitable on the front end. So that's for a lead magnet. And then we have the one that I do, right? I'm running traffic straight to a sales page. Same thing. What we want to do is figure out how much should we be spending, right? And this is where a lot of people get brought back down to reality. Okay. Let's say that you have a $7 a month membership like me, right? And you can expect people to stay for 3 months. And you're paying cost per page view per click, right? Let's say that you're paying $2 per click, and your average purchase conversion rate, which by the way, we want this to be 7% for a low ticket offer. You can see if we spend $1,000, we're going to be out of pocket $265 every single month. Even though we're bringing in people, we're going to be out of pocket. And that's after 3 months. That's not monthly, right? That's not monthly. That's just the reality. And that's why I like to go over this exercise with you guys, because a lot of people just don't do the math. They're like, oh, I'm going to run ads to a $7 program, but they don't realize how expensive every purchase is, right? You're spending $1,000 to get 35 purchases. That's what, $1,000 divided by 35. This would be spending $28 for a $7 purchase. That's why a lot of people who run low ticket offer funnels, they run out of money before they're even to see any profits, because in order to have a low ticket offer, you need volume, because only a small percentage of people are going to upgrade to your next thing, which is where your cash flow is, right? Only a small percentage of people who come into this program upgrade to lean on Laurel. So I have to make sure that I have a lot of cash flow up front to acquire customers to get the volume. Right? So Patricia said, I know that it's for that we book a call, but if you meant that we should have messenger conversations even for a $700 offer as well, yes, go back through the training. I explain it in the training why we have messenger conversations before doing this, because if you don't have this money to be able to make this work, can you afford, Patricia, let me ask you this question. Can you afford to spend $1,500 to acquire a $3,000 customer? Can you spend that much up front to acquire a $3,000 customer, not knowing whether or not you're going to acquire that customer? Because the goal when you're testing a VSL funnel is to break even. You have to spend $3,000 before you get enough data to know what your cost should be. But a lot of people turn off their VSL funnels. And this is what I want you guys to understand right now. As a lot of people turn this stuff off, and that's how you lose money consistently with Facebook ads. If you are selling a $5,000 product, you have to be willing to spend $5,000 to break even on that first sale. If you cannot afford to spend $5,000 and see zero, you have no business running a VSL funnel. Remember I told you guys at the beginning of the call, I'm just going to be realistic. Because not enough people in this industry are real with you guys. I see this all the time. I've been doing funnels for over 5 years now. I've been running ads since 2008. So I have seen the progression of what it actually costs in order to run these things. And that's why I built the ecosystem. Because I hope that you guys just have a realistic view. I get it. like, someone was saying, well, I don't have time for messenger conversations. That's cool. Then I hope you have a deep pocket. It's the trade-off, right? We have to either decide, I have a deep pocket, I'm willing to pay Facebook to get my time back, or am I willing to do some manual stuff to get cash flow that I can give to Facebook and test something? Because I'll say this because not enough people say it enough. Do not use credit cards to run ads. I'm going to say that one more time. Do not use your credit card to run ads if you do not have the money to put it back, because your interest rate will skyrocket very fast. Yeah, Dean says that's great, right? Dean says marketing is a function of spending time or money. If you can't spend time, spend money, and vice versa. Absolutely. Like, I would figure out how, like, if I needed cash flow, I would figure out how to have enough conversations with people so that I can get some cash flow. I didn't start my business by running ads for myself. I ran it for other people, and I had manual conversations. I went to chamber meetings. I did live videos on Facebook. I added people from Facebook groups. If I had to do that all over again, I would do it exactly the same. Like, messenger conversations for me are still the lifeblood of my business. I still have them. That's still my goal every single week, is to have 100 messenger conversations. That's why Lean on Laurel stays full all the time. That's why people buy, like, even people that come into this $7 program, 60% still come from my organic efforts. My organic efforts pay for my ad spend. If I did not spend the time in my organic efforts, and now organic just doesn't mean I play on Facebook all. I go to events, I go talk to people, I'm guest on podcasts. All of that helps me get the cash flow that I need in order to spend money on my ads. Otherwise, it would be coming out of my profits. Yeah, all of this is inside, like, everything that we're talking about today is all inside the 7L program. If you're brand new to the program, just start in the start here section and work your way through. Messenger conversation flows, everything is here. Okay. So Clara says, if running to a low ticket membership, knowing that I'd be losing money up front, then I need to have a more cash flow generating upsell ready, right? Since it won't be coming initially from the membership. Absolutely. That's why I have people start with a mid or higher ticketed offer, so that you can figure out how to get the money for a low ticket offer. You either have to do, there's one of two trade-offs, right? If you, I'll use Clara as an example. So she's like, well, I'm gonna do this knowing that I'm gonna lose money. That's fine. Like, if you are aligned with like your low ticket offer, that's fine. I'm not telling anyone that they shouldn't start with a low ticket offer. Like, I see people make it work all the time, but you have to be willing to trade off to spend money to acquire customers, or spend a lot of time going manually get them from other people's groups or doing podcast episodes or something. You have to be willing to be patient enough to be able to build that up. Patricia says, if we're starting with power content, should we still aim for conversations rather than applications, with the estimate of $500 a month to get those conversations? That question kind of tells me that you don't understand what power content's version is. So I would go back to the ecosystem and watch it, because the main goal of power content is to be built around this. Does everyone understand that this, what we're talking about today, is not my ecosystem? This is the offer ad that you use in order to generate like your lead gen. My ecosystem is built around this. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that, because I think a lot of people think that my ecosystem replaces what we're talking about. It does not. We build it around it so that we can get a higher return on ad spend. Okay, cool. Awesome. We are all on the same page again. Okay. I'm going to show you guys my 3 favorite scripts that I use. 2 of them are not videos. They can be videos, but I'm going to show you guys, because I know a lot of you guys are like, ugh, more videos. I'm going to show you guys 2 ad scripts that you can use with a graphic image, and 1 that you use with a video. Okay. The first one right here is actually my most popular ad that I learned from Billie Jean. Okay. It is the frustrating script. How many of you guys seen this ad before? This is actually my most profitable ad right now. This is bringing in purchases for like $1.25. And it is a very, very simple script. Okay. The way that Billie Jean taught it was actually pretty brilliant, because the whole goal of this, and this is going to be very polarizing for some of you guys, the whole goal of this ad is to start controversy on your ad. This is literally designed to piss people off. So whenever Billie Jean was actually teaching how to actually do this ad, the very first thing that he used as an example is you have to pick an enemy. And so he's like, the first enemy that I'm going to pick is Trump. There's nothing more frustrated than Trump. And then he listed 3 different reasons, and he's like, try this for better results. And then it was a link to Biden, right? And then he did the reverse. He's like, I could run 2 different ads and start 2 different controversies to get more engagement on my ads. Then he did, there's nothing more frustrating than Biden. And then listed 3 different reasons why I hated Biden. Try this for better results. Sent to Trump, right? And then he did it with grapes. He was like, there's nothing more frustrating than grapes. You feed them to your dog and your dog dies. Right? Like, and so he just like literally went, but he wanted to show the simplicity of this script. So you have to be bold in this. You can't go, there's nothing more frustrating than, I don't know, like, there's nothing more frustrating than not knowing what you want in life, right? Because I've seen people go really frou-frou on this, but you have to pick an enemy, right? Like here, I picked an enemy. I picked on Victor, right? Victor's one of my rock star students. And actually, when me and Victor were actually learning this script, we actually picked on each other, because he said there's nothing more frustrating than ad coaching programs, right? Because I was saying there's nothing more frustrating than ad agency. So him and I had a little bit of fun while we were writing this script together. But you have to be bold. Like, you have to pick something. Like, I'm looking at Dr. Gina, right? There's nothing more frustrating than, I don't know, like Western medicine fertility doctors or something like that, right? That you have to be bold. Like, I could say there's nothing more frustrating than Russell Brunson. He convinced the entire marketing industry that they're just one funnel away. He trains all of these bro marketers that have misleading ads. Like, I could literally just go down the line and just like write this script so many different times, but you have to be bold. Like, you wouldn't be surprised. You go look at the comments on this ad, you will see the hate steaming from ad agency owners in this ad. Like, it is awesome. But what does that create? Engagement. And what does engagement create? Lower ad costs, right? Heather, aka Nookie, says there's nothing more frustrating than be in your feminine. There's lots of ways that you guys can, like, but you have to be bold. It can't be like, you can't half-ass pick an enemy. Like, you have to go all in and you have to just own it. But you also have to be confident in yourself to deal with all of this is not the power offer ad. This is what is called, I call it the frustrating ad. This is the power offer ad. You guys have access to Joel Irway's power offer framework here in the program if you want to go deep with it. Like I said, he designed it as a high ticket ad to get people over the phone or into mini webinars. I took it and I was like, this will actually work great for my low ticket offer. I think he said that I was one of the first people to actually use it for a low ticket offer. And this is my second best performing ad. So this one right here, this ad right here gets purchases for $1.30, $1.40. This one gets purchases for a little over $3. So Anna says, I still don't know what Laurel is holding here. I've seen it hundreds of times. Yeah, so it's an award that Nick Peterson and his network gave me because I started running ads for people in the network. And so I was able to take a lot of his clients and run profitable ads for them when they had been using other agencies. And I was the first agency to actually make some of their clients super profitable. And so they gave me an award as a certification inside the mastermind. And so I was like a trusted ad agency. So that's what I'm holding here. But again, this ad is like very straightforward. Now, one of the things that I want to point out, notice that this power offer is built to attract one type of person. There's a whole bunch of people right now. There's a whole bunch of people in here right now who all have different types of funnels. This one right here, this power offer ad, notice how I'm only talking to one person. People who want to optimize a book a call funnel. This does not mean that this is my only power offer ad. This just means that I am attracting that one type of person. This is a picture. So this one is a picture ad, and this one is a picture ad. All three of these, just so we're clear, all three of these are designed to get people to buy my $7 program. But we also need to be entertaining in our ads, and our ads need to create engagement, because if our ads do not create engagement, Facebook's going to lower their quality and we're going to have to spend higher and higher for ad costs. Total transparency. These are my 3 ads that are running right now. You guys have probably seen this one. We'll talk about this one in a little bit. But what I want you guys to understand is I launched over 200 ads to get these 3. I'm going to say that one more time. I launched over 200 ads to get these 3 that have been running for 4 years. Okay. This one is a power nugget. Think power content, except you're just breaking down one small thing within 60 seconds, and it has a CTA for whatever you're buying. So in this case, this ad that I'm talking about is a retargeting ad. And and at the end of the video, I say, hey, I walk you through not only how to do this $2 ad, I also talk about $5 ads inside my membership. Click the link below and get it. I'm teaching value, just like the power content video does. I call it a power nugget because it's a 60-second ad with one single bullet point that gives a little value up front and then pushes for the people to learn more. I'm just reading the comments. Victor says, please listen to that. Patricia says, Laurel, should we use pictures of us? What do you recommend more for images in the ads? Anything that's going to grab attention. What do you guys notice about most of my ads? They're freaking wild and they're gaudy, but Lord help me, they get your attention in the newsfeed, right? How many of you guys know by the corner of your eye when you see one of my ads? Because it is big, bright, and ugly. Because big, bright, and ugly, they get attention. It's all about the attention. And I know a lot of you guys are like, but my brand. I don't know how many agency clients got really mad that I was using ads that had nothing to do with their brand colors. Brand colors are boring. Use your brand colors and they will probably not get any attention. As a matter of fact, the uglier the ad, the better they convert most of the time. Like, how many of you guys have seen Dan Henry's new FAP ad? It's big red. Guess who designed it? Guess who runs it? Me. Whenever you guys see Dan Henry's ads, can you guys tell which ones I've done? My wife always does. She's like, this literally looks like a Laurel ad. I'm like, well, yeah, that's one of the ones I did. But everyone knows my style. Like, people come to me all the time. They're like, I could tell you did which ads you did of Joel Irway's. I can tell which ones you're doing of Dan Henry's because they just reek of Laurel. It's because I have a certain style. It gets people's attention. As a matter of fact, Dan Henry had me create an entire series of ugly ads because they work. Let's see. Victor says, yeah, I've had pushback from time to time. I said, do you want it to work or do you want it to look cool? Yeah. Jelena says, I've seen so many pretty ads and they never converted me into their products. Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful freaking ads out there. But what I like to do is I like to log into Facebook and I scroll really fast. And then I take note of what makes me stop the scroll. And that's how I come up with new ad ideas. I actually do that on the website Pexels. I don't know if you guys have ever used Pexels. It's like a free public domain. That's what I do. I go to Pexels and I type in something that I'm looking for. And I just scroll really fast. And I take note of what image grabs my attention as I'm scrolling really fast. Yeah, PEXEL.com. It gives you like stuff that you can use. It's in the public domain, so you don't have to pay for copyright or anything like that. So those are the 3 ads. 3 ads. This is the 5x3 test. Now, just so we're clear, this is how I start every campaign if I do not have a winning audience or a winning ad. It's 5x3, and it's called a 5x3 because there's 5 different ad sets with 3 different ads under each ad set. but these 3 ads are the same across all of the multiple ad sets. Because what I'm trying to figure out as fast as possible is which one of these 3 ads are going to convert under each of these ad sets, right? Because I don't have a winning ad set. I don't have a winning ad, so I want to put 3 ads underneath each individual ad set. That is the 5x3 campaign. And so all I'm trying to figure out is which one of these audiences are going to convert. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And that's why I have 3 ads. I don't like using more than 3 ads because Facebook really starts to favor one ad over the other. And so that's why I like to do 3 ads. You might want to do 4 ads. I know Dan Henry, whenever he does his ads, he likes to put 4. It doesn't matter. It does the same thing. It's just a personal preference of mine. Once I have a winning audience, so let's say Russell Brunson wins, right? And it gets a winning ad. So I would duplicate that ad set at $10 a day. And whichever ad got the sell, I would put it under that as a single ad underneath a winning ad set. After I have winning audiences, I no longer group all of my ads together. I start pulling them out. And if this does, I would raise it by 20%, and then you could double this at 20, and you could start it at $20 a day. I have a video, so I'm not going to go all into it. It's inside the optimization. I actually walk you guys through how you actually optimize. But how long do you run the test to see which one won? Remember when we were going through this right here, if I'm doing leads, I want to pay at least 3 times the cost per lead of one lead. But you want to actually give it enough time. I usually do like $7 or so. 7 days, just so that I have enough data to be able, because Facebook's taking longer and longer to optimize. So Eric says, do you do this with power content and conversion multipliers too? No, this is just for offer ads. The way that I do my ecosystem ads are completely different than this. That's why it's two. We can't treat one like the other, because this right here is our conversion campaigns. They're the most expensive. Remember, conversion campaigns are the most expensive. So we want to utilize our budget in the most efficient way. So what this means, right? I'll just kind of do like a quick setup, because this will work. It doesn't matter, again, whether I'm doing this for a low ticket offer, whether I'm doing this for a webinar, whether I'm doing this for a VSL, whether I'm doing this for a book funnel, whether I'm doing this for an ebook, the setup is all the same. Yes, Clara said, so the 3 example scripts you showed us were all for offer ads. Yes, we are only talking about offer ads today. This is just all off, like ads that you will send to your offer, ads that you will send to your VSL, ads that you will send to your low ticket offer. It does not matter what type of funnel, it is the same, okay? So the 5x3 campaign, we're just going to hit create. And if you are running leads for a webinar, you are going to choose the lead objective. If you are running ads, this is not for power offer ads, guys. Pay attention. This is for your offer ads to a VSL, to a low ticket offer. This is not for, this is how you launch actual offer ads to a landing page of some sort, okay? So if we're running ads to a webinar, we are running a lead campaign. If we are running ads to a low ticket offer, like I do for my $7 program, it will be a sales campaign, okay? So we will hit continue because I chose sales. If you have a webinar, you will choose lead. It'll be the same setup. We're going to do manual sales campaign. I do not let Facebook decide anything for me. I like full control. Okay. So we're testing. Remember, this is for cold traffic. We don't have any winning audiences and we don't have any winning ads. Okay. If you want, guys, I'm going to pause right there because you guys are asking. So I want to make sure that you guys understand what we're doing. If you're running an ad to get sales, you need to choose sales. If you are running ads to a webinar, that's a lead, right? I just want to make sure everyone understands, because please tell me if you don't, because this is the time. lead campaigns are to a webinar, right? Because you run lead campaigns to get a webinar. If you want to get sales, yes. So Cassandra just says, and I want to make sure that we're absolutely clear. This is after you have validated an offer and you are sending people to a webinar or a sales page. This is when you have buku money that you can afford to spend on offer ads. I want to make sure everyone's clear here, because it seems like a lot of people are confused right now. And I just want to slow down, and I just want to make sure that we're being clear. So Michelle just said, if you have a video on the front end and a tripwire, would that be a lead? Yes. That's complicated though, because you can actually run it as and optimize it for sales. Kanisha says, so to be clear, offer ads are different than power offer ads. Depends. And this is why I'm gonna make a really great point here. You know how a lot of you guys want to skip my long ass videos and just go straight to the setup? And I'm being a hard ass right now because this is why. These are all of the little nuances that a lot of you guys don't take time to watch my fucking long videos, and you miss all of these little things, and then we keep having to go backwards on trainings like this because no one wants to watch the long videos. And I'm not fussing, I'm just saying it's a little, isn't it a little frustrating for a lot of people in the room who are like doing the work? And it's like, and I'm not saying that people aren't doing the work, but what I want you guys to do is really just slow down, please. Go watch the long ass trainings and take notes, because these are all of the nuances that you guys are missing in this. There are different stages of offers. There are different stages of this. This is why it is so hard to do an ads program, because there are all these nuances that everyone leaves out. If you're wondering why you've never gotten results with ads, it's because this is the stuff that people leave out of the programs. They think everyone wants to just, Laurel, just show me the setup. But this is why I can't just show you guys the setups, because as you guys are finding out, it doesn't work that way. You have to understand the big picture. Okay? We have to understand the big picture. And you have to understand, Heather says, but why? Guys, there's 20 years of advertising that I've put into this program. You're not going to learn it overnight. Like, even as I'm going through the Ask Laurel thread, people are expecting ads to work on their first or second week in the program. It just doesn't work that way. We all have to put in. So what we're talking about today, just so everyone, I'm going to back up really quickly. Okay. What kind of ads that we're talking about today? Remember this triangle that I teach you guys? These are the two types of ads that we're working with. Like, once you've gotten your most volume of messenger conversations, once you've ran your power offer ad to application, what we're focused on here is quality traffic or to liquidate a funnel. Does that help? I just want to make sure that everyone's with us here. I love what Timberly just said. She said, I just started out and I have an okay grasp on it. These questions made me think I didn't know anything. I'm actually getting it. Yes. It's really, yeah, like it reinforced which type we're looking at. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that everyone's with me. Okay, cool. Let's go through the setups, and then I'll open it up for Q&A, and then we can walk through everything, and I'll open up for Q&A. So if you are wondering, well, I have this type of funnel, Laurel, what type would I use? I will be happy to go over all of that, because guys, this is the work right here that we have to understand, because if you guys don't understand this part, as a matter of fact, like I'm gonna go through the setup here real quick, just so that you guys can see what it looks like. And then we'll actually go through some open Q&A so that we can clear up any other questions that you guys have. Okay. Campaign name it what it is. Like, if I was running this to my $7 program, I would say top of funnel, and then I would just say offer ad test, $7 program. The way that I name my campaign literally is just, if I'm looking at it in Ads Manager, would I know and what I'm looking at, okay? So campaign details, we're not going to change anything. I'm not in a special ad category, so I don't have to change it. I'm going to hit next. This is where you have to pay attention. Your conversion event here is going to be on a website, right? Because we're using the pixel. These are conversion ads. And so we need to use pixel data. So there's a couple of things that you actually have to have in place, like the pixel, because we're going to utilize the conversion location on the website. We're not going to change anything about the performance goal. We're going to select the pixel. Okay. So you have to have a pixel. The conversion event. If you were running a lead ad to a webinar, you would choose the lead conversion event. If you are like me and running it to a low ticket offer, we're going to use the purchase. Okay. Now, my daily budget on conversion ads, I recommend $10 a day per ad set. So meaning this 5x3 campaign, we're going to run it at $50 a day, right? Because we've got 5 ad sets running at $10 a day. If you do not have $50 a day to spend, you might have a 3x3. If you only have $10 a day to spend, you might have a 1x3. Does that make sense to everybody? Someone tell Adam why we're not using a lead form here. I'm not fussing. I'm just can someone just please help him? What we're going to do here is we're not going to use the advantage budget because I want to have as much control over this during the testing phase. Now, here's the thing. I know a lot of people are saying, go broad in your targeting. Whenever I am running a conversion campaign, I want to try to get as close to my audience during the testing phase as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with tighter targeting. As I start to get more conversions, I'm going to go broader and broader and broader, and I'm going to start leveraging pixel data. Does that make sense to everybody? We want to start with tighter targeting, and then we want to go wider and wider and wider. So that's why broad targeting works when you have a lot of pixel data, because then you can lean into that. Here's a little caveat to that. Facebook is getting smarter. It is getting smarter. But whenever I am testing, I want to go as tight as possible for the testing phase until I get some winning ads. Then once I have some winning ads, I can go broader. I don't want to get too caught up in the whole targeting thing, because we can make it as simple or as confusing as possible. I just like to use original, so I'm going to switch it to original. And I'm literally going to use simple targeting here. So I'm just going to choose, pick something like Infusionsoft, right? Infusionsoft has my audience. Like, if you know what Infusionsoft is, it's a funnel software, a CRM. So I'm just gonna target that. My placements, you can do advantage placements or you could do manual placements. It does not matter. I'm gonna hit next. What I really want you guys to do is just get comfortable with the ads manager so that you guys can feel comfortable to test a couple of things. And so that's why I'm saying at the beginning, use advantage placements. That's fine. Always make sure that you have ad preview on. I'm just going to go ahead and I am going to choose an image. I'm just going to choose anyone just for the sake of this, right? And so if I was doing, see, my ads are funny. Look at this. This is just silly stuff. This is one of my retargeting ads, graphics. So maybe the frustrating ad copy goes here, right? And then I would write a headline, get help with ads for just $7. It always defaults to this, putting a call, just go ahead and hit none. And then there you go, you got your first ad. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this. And then we're just gonna switch out the creative because we are using 3 ads underneath the same ad set. So I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna pick my video. And then this one might be the power offer copy goes here. And then I'm going to duplicate it one more time. I'm going to replace the image. I'm going to do another. Next copy goes, oops, I said hose, goes here. So now we have 3 ads underneath one ad set. Once we have these 3 ads running, all we have to do is go and duplicate. And then go and do ad set number 2, whatever you named it. And then all you have to do is go and choose another one. Maybe I want to choose HubSpot this time. And then I'm just going to keep duplicating and I'm just going to test until I have 5 ad sets and the same 3 ads underneath each ad set. Does anyone have any questions about the setup? Yep. So let me get you guys where you can unmute yourselves. There you go.
Hey, Laurel.
Hey.
Nice to interact with you live.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I'm a little afraid that I'm going to make angry Laurel come out. But
there's never angry Laurel. Sometimes there's frustrated Laurel, but there's never angry Laurel.
Okay,
I'm always coming from a place of love.
Oh, I think someone's unmuted.
Congratulations on the interview.
Thank you. Oh, is that, maybe that's on my
That's
side.
you, I think.
Let me, that was a random video from one of my group coaching calls started playing. Thanks. So for the 5x3, I understand that it's a great way to try out like the same ads with different ad sets. When you say you don't have a proven audience, is this 5x3 matrix something I could use to figure out the right audience to run a power offer to? Or like, what am I using this 5x3 to figure out the audience for?
Yeah, so this is the 5x3 for your VSL or your actual low ticket offer ads.
Okay, so where I do have a high ticket program that I've been selling with a webinar, like opt-in webinar. For my power offer, I have been trying a few things. My ads aren't working yet. So could I do the 5x3 test to figure out the audience to which to run power offer ads to an application?
You could. I mean, theoretically, I like to choose whenever I'm doing my power offer validation test. I'm not necessarily, you can use the 5x3 if you want to. Usually I use them separate when I'm doing the test. The 5x3 is generally something that I use for the actual conversion ads. It just depends on the context of how you're using it.
Okay, so when you say actual conversion ads, either my low ticket membership, I would use the 5x3 straight with the sales objective. And then for my high ticket, I would use the 5x3 straight to the what?
You tell me.
Okay, so for the high ticket, and y'all can guess in the chat and I won't look. For the high ticket, I'm using 5x3 to help me validate an audience for an ad campaign that goes straight to opt into my webinar.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the lead objective.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, just so that we're clear, right? if we think triangle, like the triangle exercise, this is for whenever you have everything validated and we're just going straight for, we've just built the funnel. It is hot off the presses. Who do we send the funnel to, right? If we do not have any warm traffic, or if we don't have a winning audience.
And if we do have warm traffic,
Then it just becomes each ad gets its own warm stack.
Okay, thank you. Very helpful.
Yep.
Can I ask a question, Laura?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, it's my first time here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Let me put the camera on just so that you know who's speaking. So I work with trauma survivors, adult survivors of childhood trauma. And what the reason I was the one asked about the lead forms for a webinar or for a high ticket discovery call, or even for just continuing the conversation afterwards, etc. Would you completely stay away from lead forms, or is it ever a viable option?
I think it's worth testing. In my experience, we don't get high quality leads from lead forms.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that today the conversation is about the conversion campaigns is because if you have a webinar, you want that webinar to start playing as soon as that person opts in. Otherwise, there's a good chance.
So this is a pre-play. Okay, so this is a pre-play webinar as opposed to a live one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not saying that you can't use lead forms. In my experience, lead forms are just the worst type of lead. Emily.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Hi, Laurel.
Hey.
I'm driving, so I'm gonna leave my video off, but this is wonderful. Okay. So my question is, if we've got power content that is warming up cold traffic and we have a warm stack from our Pixel and our Facebook and Instagram engagement, do you think the budget would be better spent running these conversion offers to the warm stack, or and then putting more of this budget towards the power content so that you're warming up the cold traffic first? Or would you just send the stuff straight to cold?
So whenever I am here, I'll actually show you guys something that might make it a little easier. So this is what this looks like, right? So we have cold, and what we're talking about is this part right here, right? Either the opt-in or this, right? So this is already going to cold traffic. Now, in order to build up this warm audience, right, we need a massive amount of warm traffic. And so that's why the power content strategy exists, so that we can, these are going to be the people who are ready to buy right now. These are the people who are our ideal clients, but they're not ready to buy right now. But we still need to push enough traffic to the warm traffic. So if we are running this campaign here, right, also your warm traffic is going to the opt-in. We have to have enough traffic here for unless this is going to putter out after like 7 days.
Right, but if we're talking about spending $50 a day, I guess my thought is, is it better to just up the budget on the power content and then put these in the warm stack?
This is where you would put most of your budget, is into the lead gen.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. That's perfect. Thank you.
So we always, at any given time, remember, if we go back to the triangle, how I tell you guys we want to have 100 messenger conversations a week. We'll just replace that with how many opt-ins do we need to get a week in order to hit our goal. So we have to spend however much in order to get enough lead traffic into our warm traffic so that our retargeting sequence could even work. Because what a lot of people are doing is they're like, well, I've got 8,000 people who've watched 25% of my power content videos. And then they start sending ads to that audience. And they're like, well, that audience isn't buying. I'm like, no, I told you guys, these people aren't ready to buy right now. They're going to be ready at some point, right? They're your ideal clients. And so that's why a lot of people think, oh, well, your power content strategy doesn't work. I was like, yeah, but you're expecting it to convert in like 30 days, and that's not how it works. The power content's built to year round bring in traffic that after a year, it's gonna start compounding. So we always need to make sure that we're running enough traffic top of funnel to support retargeting, because retargeting is super cheap. You can spend like $2 a day on retargeting per ad. So Helena just asked a really great question. Do you also test the offer ads to your warm stack? I do, but I do not call it testing, because if you're testing, I don't feel a true test is until you do it to cold traffic. That's why I don't think that you can validate an offer to warm either. You have to validate it to cold. Otherwise, your data is going to be skewed. That was a great question, Emily. Hopefully you're driving safe and not keeping an eye on me while you're driving. Yep. Clara.
Yeah, I just want to restate to Bridge what I learned today with your last training, where I know why my solvable problem was I want those 100 messenger conversations. And I'm one of those where like my budget is, I'm not at the luxury of doing this, but I'm glad I know it for sure.
Yep.
But the stage that I'm in is I'm putting my budget toward messenger conversations to help validate my offer, which would be a similar low ticket membership to what you're doing. And through those conversations, and it was really eye-opening how you said that you kind of told your client, don't do this other route, you're not like ready. When I get those conversations and I feel really secure with my numbers, that is when I can transition to what you're teaching here, where now it becomes less about messengers and now it's more about how many opt-ins do I need, or conversions to the sales.
Yes.
So I'm in the early stage. This is something for my future self, but that's sort of like how you're phasing it out, or how I should phase it out, right?
That's why we're micro stepping, right?
Yeah.
We're micro stepping. Now, here's what a lot of people hear from me, and they hear it, you know, it's like the telephone game, right? I say something and they're like, Laurel said this. I like to show you guys both ways, because most people look at ad strategy and they're like, it's super, super expensive. My way is not the only way to do things. It has just been the most cost efficient way that I have found to launch ads. Like I find that this strategy has made ads accessible to so many people that didn't think that they could afford to do ads. And it's not about, you know, oh, you know, Laurel says not to run webinar ads. Obviously, I run webinar ads, but I like to do it in the right step of the process. Otherwise, that's where you start to see people lose so much money. It is so like, I don't know how many people have come to me after spending $11,000-$12,000 on a webinar and then have like zero sales. And it's not necessarily their offer that's broken. They're not getting enough people to even watch the webinar. Like they're spending $10,000 to $11,000 and only 10, 17. I saw one the other day, 17% of people were hitting play on the webinar. I was like, that's where your money's going. Cause she was like, can you tell me like what's wrong with my offer? And I was like, well, let's talk about your webinar numbers first. And this is just someone having a random conversation. I didn't even know her. I was like, well, what are your webinar numbers? And she's like, well, how do I find that? I was like, can you go into Vimeo, wherever you're hosting your video, go and look like how many unique people out of your leads have actually pressed play? And she was like, oh, 17%. I was like, that's the problem right there. Your ads aren't the issue, because she had really great lead flow, but she thought her offer wasn't converting. I'm like, you haven't even had enough people see your offer to even know if it's converting or not. That's why I have you guys start with, how could I get the most amount of people to see my offer? You
Yeah,
just
and like
you put it in Messenger to everyone that you talk to. It ensures that everyone see that 100% of people see your offer, right?
and I
Then
probably
the
have
power
a bigger
offer
chance
tab
anyway to see.
yeah.
Sorry,
And you just and you just stair step into the highest friction point to get higher quality.
And when you had said a statistic before that we should look for 7% average purchase conversion rate. Was that like an average benchmark for low ticket offers
For
specifically?
low ticket offers, like you do not want anything lower than 7%. Like mine hovers between 11 and 14%.
And if it somehow is dropping below, is that one of the signals for like maybe it is my offer, or it could be that or my positioning of it? And that's when it's different factors.
It depends, because
Mm.
if you're making money, you're making money and it's good. I wouldn't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. So, okay.
When things work really, really well, I try not to nitpick at stuff and just like focus on, okay, like, can you like improve that? Absolutely. You could run like an A/B test to another sales page, but I
Mhm.
never like replace anything that's currently working, even if it's just working just a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Anna says, from my experience, you need higher to make the low ticket work. 12%, even with that, it's tough. Yeah. The only reason my $7 program works so well is because honestly of my organic. I'll be straight up, but the $7 program works because I do so much organic work on it. It like literally makes my ads work better. Because think about this, out of all the podcasts, speaking engagements, everything that I do, when people see my ads, they buy because of the organic traction that I've made myself available to my audience for. Eric.
Hey there. Okay, yeah, I'm asking this for my two workflow clients. Can we use the same testing on messenger ads or comment ads? Because we're getting comments to messenger ads based on our workflow.
I don't.
You wouldn't do it?
I wouldn't. That doesn't mean you can't. Like at the end of the day, like this is what I always tell you guys, right? It's not my job to tell you what to do. It's my job to show you all of the options so that you can make decisions based on you have the education to be able to test things on your own. You might find that, hey, I'm going to try this 5x3 campaign on these messenger conversations. And it might work. It might work for you. I'm just presenting how I do it. Will
Well,
it
that's what I was
work the other way?
asking,
Yeah.
Laurel. I why get into something if the gut feel isn't going to work? So
It's not that it's not going to work. I just don't do it with my ecosystem ads at all.
okay. I like the hat, except you got to wear it backwards. It fits more into your personality.
Let's see, Patricia.
Hey, a very quick question, Laurel. Actually, that's a question about the audience.
Okay.
Tell me, yes, you did this wrong. When I launched my my power offer, I selected an audience in India, in South America, and so on. And can that be a reason why the ad spend, why I was spending more than the 1%, $1 per day? Does that influence that I
How much
made it?
how much were you spending?
The
I mean, what did
average
you
per
set
day.
what did you set your budget to?
This is for the flywheel. This is for conversations and for the power offer. So it's not for this conversation, but what I was spending per day was $4, $3, $4. Again, more than the $1 per day that you suggested. 25%. I remember all your metrics for the videos, but the fact that I chose a so broad audience influences also the cost.
So we're talking about two different things, because you're talking about dollar ads and $2. That's warm traffic. So you wouldn't choose any detailed targeting. It would just go to your warm audience.
I don't have warm audience. This was for my power content videos.
Okay, gotcha. So your power content videos, we spend $5 a day on those.
Yes, yes, yes. But for each, but the metrics, you were very specific that we should not be spending, or the metric, that one of the goals was spend less than $1 per day, remember? Per click or something.
You're talking about it's $1 per 25% view.
Yes, exactly, that one.
Okay. Sorry, I'm lost because I'm in the other zone. Can we keep the conversation to what we talked about today, because it's
I'm sorry.
hard for me to switch gears.
I'm sorry. It's okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Helena.
Hey Laurel, so it's kind of the follow-up question on what I asked in the chat. So when you launched the 5x3 ads, you first tested to cold audiences, and then after you essentially select the winner and you kick off all the losers that didn't perform well, and then you start targeting your video viewers and warm stack and everybody from your audience. Is that kind of the flow?
So whenever I'm launching, so let's say I'm launching a webinar funnel, I'm creating a different campaign just for warm traffic. It's separate from my 5x3. My 5x3 is only for cold traffic.
Okay, got it.
Yep. That's a great question. Anyone else have a question about what we talked about today? What is the one takeaway? Go and watch all of the videos. Not all of the videos. Watch only the videos that pertain to you, because you guys get in trouble whenever you start skipping videos, and then you guys get yourself confused, and then you guys get me confused. You guys are good? Everyone understand? Yeah, Clara says biggest takeaway is knowing where you're at. Like that's the one thing, like you have to kind of back up and say, am I watching the right training right now? Because now you guys are learning, especially today, there's a lot of nuances that you have to understand in order to choose, like, am I doing the right thing, right, with offer ads? Because it can get really complicated because everyone is just at like different places. Yeah. If you want to know what a low ticket offer is, go inside the Facebook group. There is a really amazing post that my mentor posted today that explains low ticket versus high ticket. It's really good. Are you guys enjoying having Nick in the group? I'm sharing him with you, so that's like, if you guys will understand, you know, sometimes I think people think I'm a hard ass. I'm pushing you guys because this stuff really is important, like, for you guys to understand. So many people bitch about my long videos, but this is why the videos have to be long, because like there's so many things that like that you have to understand in order to make all of this stuff work. Yeah, I'm making you guys up level big time. And I might push you guys a little bit, but it really is coming from a place of love, because I want to have the most successful program on ads, and it's only $7 a month. That's my goal. Is like, I want to make sure that everyone is doing the right thing, because some people are utilizing the wrong strategy for what they have. Because I see so many people building webinars and you guys saw how expensive that shit can get real fast. So, well, you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Hopefully everyone got a little bit more clarity as we go through these live workshops. Yeah, it's our job to be great students who have great stories to tell. I love that. I love that. But you're very welcome. You guys have an amazing day.